Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. This video is a continuation of my devlog series where I share with you my progress on my first game ever. I'm creating the game without any experience and without any code. In the last devlog, I made the landscape and started whiteboxing the level. I also started working on puzzles, but I got tired of it, so I started working on enemy AI. I showed you this last time where the enemy will go to random locations in a given radius. This is the simplest AI behavior you can make, but we can do better, right? So far in the game development process, this has been one of my favorite parts. So let me show you what I did with the AI. I improved the AI behavior by adding points in the world where the enemy will patrol around. As you can see, the enemy is going to specific points and he just goes back and forth between each one. This was actually pretty easy to make. It is similar to making the enemy go to random locations, but instead you just tell it to go to wherever you place the markers in the world. And once again, enemy still completely ignores me. He doesn't even know I'm there. In Unreal, there's an AI sensing component that you can add to your game. I added sight, so now the enemy can see me and he will start chasing me. I also added a melee attack. Whenever he gets too close, he will go for a swing. This is not the animation I want, but I will use it as a placeholder until I find a better one. If I can't find one that I like, then I will need to learn how to make my own. But this is pretty good for now. Since the enemy can attack now, the next logical step is to apply damage and deal with player health. So now the player has health. And when the health reaches 0, the player dies. For the player death, all I did was activate physics on the character instead of a death animation, and I did it for two reasons. The first is with physics active, the character will randomly ragdoll, so each death will have a different animation. Second reason is because you don't really die in this game. Instead of dying and getting a game over screen, something else will happen, and I will share that in a later devlog, so make sure you subscribe. This day was all about player health, damage, and working with the HUD, or heads up display. That's because we need to tell the user that they are receiving damage. A lot of games just have a health bar, but I wanted to do something different. I wanted to make the screen darker. I used this image to make this effect. Once again, this is just a placeholder. Later on, I will make my own that works better with the game. It's a cool effect and it's close to what I had in mind. Remember, I am limited in my knowledge of using Unreal and creating games. The next step was to find a way to heal the player. I thought this step would be easy because applying damage and killing the player was really easy. However, I was very wrong. This was very hard to do. I spent many hours trying to make this work. I even watched a ton of video tutorials and none of them worked. But eventually, I got it to work. Now when the enemy hits you, after a few seconds, you will start to recover health. When you recover health, the screen fades back to normal. That fade effect is what took me so many hours to figure out. But it is working now, as you can see. I'm happy with the results. Everything is now working, but I thought I can do better. I said, what if the camera faces the enemy when you are spotted? That way the player knows they are being chased. This was cool, except there was a problem. When the enemy is close, you don't have time to react. So I decided to make it in slow motion whenever the camera faces the enemy. This also looks pretty cool. Adding slow motion is actually pretty easy to do. All I did was add this node here and gave it a time. That's it. Now the player knows when an enemy starts chasing the player. Then I thought, again, I can do better. I wanted the camera to zoom in on the enemy. I could not get it to work. So I decided to have a camera shake effect instead to make it more intense and scary. Because the enemy is supposed to be scary. This gives it a more dramatic feel. I also found that with camera shake effect, you can zoom in, so I got two birds with one stone. So far the game is coming out great. I like the results and where the game is going. I did find a problem, and that is the enemy only chases you when he sees you. So if you touch him, he doesn't care. I fixed this by adding hearing to the enemy. Now when you go behind them, he will hear you and start chasing you. Make sure you like and comment below. I still need ideas for the title of the game. Right now I'm just calling it Emotion, so let me know your ideas. And lastly, subscribe so you don't miss the next devlog. The next step for me is to learn Blender and create the main character of the game. That is all for today. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video.